It's Rubel in the Woods. Today we're out in the good old-fashioned wilderness down by a river, and today we're going to do another knife review. The knife we're going to be reviewing today is the Lord & Field's Frontiersman. So first things first, just want to let y'all know that we have the wonderful Sophie behind the camera right now. Say hi, Sophie.
Hi.
So she's going to be filming this for us, so we might have a bit better shot today. But first, I'm going to do a little overview of it, and then we're going to do some batoning, some feather sticking, and then a tri-stick, and I'll give some conclusions and final thoughts about it. This, guys, is the Lord & Field Frontiersman. As you can tell, it's a fixed blade knife. It comes with a genuine leather sheath that is designed to be carried scout carry. Removing the knife from the sheath, you see we have a pretty hefty chunk of metal right here. We have a 4.5-inch 1095 high carbon steel blade. So you're looking at a blade that will rust pretty easily if you don't take care of it, but it'll also take a wicked sharp edge and be sharpened pretty easily. It has a Scandi grind, so you'll get a very thin behind the edge profile, make it an extremely good slicer. You're looking at something that can cut very well, and it'll hold an edge decently long, but the geometry of it, as you can see here, it being thick and extremely thin behind the edge, you're gonna get some good splitting action as well as slicing action. On top of the blade, you're looking at this divot right here, which is good for striking a ferro rod, which the ferro rod comes with the sheath and has its own little pocket for it. Moving on to the handle, you're looking at a 4.75-inch handle that has green canvas micarta scales, and they're textured, which makes you have a very good grip on it no matter what you're doing. The overall length of the knife is 9.25 inches, so you're looking at a pretty average fixed blade size, nothing too big, but nothing too small. So one of the things that makes this knife special and not just another bushcraft or survival knife is comes with survival tools. So we already talked about the ferro rod divot, but what we didn't talk about is what's underneath these scales. So underneath the scales are multiple pockets or containers basically that hold, there's 2 arrows, there's 2 fishing hooks and cotton tinder, as well as a bow drill divot. So you have a lot of space inside of here to store stuff that you might need when you're out in the wilderness. Now, while we're on that subject, we got to talk about a problem that we've already had. So I took this knife out yesterday for the first time, and I was using it when I was out in the field, and I used it to help make a fire. And as you can see right here, there's this chunk of micarta missing. That happened because there normally is a Allen wrench in there that you use to take the scales off so you can access what's inside. What happens is, because of the fact that the edge ends after the Allen wrench starts, if you're batoning or you're using this edge, then you're going to be removing or pushing the Allen wrench out of the knife. And what happened yesterday was I batoned wood with this knife, and it broke the Allen wrench out of the scales. So that's a problem. You'll have to keep the Allen wrench separate if you're gonna really want to use what's inside. And today, because of that event that happened, I cannot show you the inside of it. I'll attach pictures that have been pre-made, but I can't show you the inside because the Allen wrench is gone, which is a big problem. But now that we've done the overview, I'm gonna move on to batoning, feather sticking, and a tri-stick test. All right, so we're on to the baton test now. I've got multiple pieces of wood varying in sizes. We've got some pretty thin ones that shouldn't be too hard for most knives to baton, and we've got some thicker ones. So we're gonna baton out this thin piece of wood first, just to kind of test how the edge holds up and how the geometry of the knife does in splitting wood. So as you can see, that was a pretty easy run through of a baton. That was not hard to do at all with this thin piece of wood. It's a good piece of wood. There's no knots, there's nothing in there that'll restrict it. And the knife, because it has such thick stock, you're getting a good wedge in there. We'll finish this one, and we'll do a thicker piece in just a second. All right, so we've got a thick piece of wood now that's probably about double the thickness of that other one. So we're gonna test the batoning on this one. Again, we have a good straight piece of wood, no crazy knots, nothing like that. in the batoning test, it can take a good basic couple hits for some small camp work, but now we're gonna see if it can do some nice precise slicing so we can make some good feather sticks. So you can probably tell we're having some trouble getting really good curls. And the problem with that is because of the angle of the Scandi grind, it only really has one angle to work with. It's what we got. We can't really get great angles or angle play to really try different angles. We've got one option, which makes it a little hard to get these fine curls, which I'd say to get those fine curls, you're looking more at the shape of the wood and the geometry of the wood, not the knife itself, which could be a problem if you need extremely fine curls for a ferro rod because you don't have any matches or artificial tinder. But on the other hand, it is slicing extremely well. You're getting some very buttery slices right here. It's pleasant to use, it's just not quite getting the nice curly beautiful pieces that you'd want or desire most. So I think it's pretty consistent in what it's putting out. You're getting these larger, not quite as curly pieces of wood shavings. So I'd say generally you're looking at decent but not amazing shavings and feather sticks coming out of this knife, which isn't necessarily a problem if you have other tinder, pine needles or cotton ball with Vaseline or a match. But if you need to use a ferro rod on this, you're gonna have a little bit of a problem. So now that we've done that, we've seen how it performs with feather sticks, we're gonna move on to basically a comfortability and versatility test, which is the tri-stick. We are going to move on to the tri-stick test, which will test basically just how it feels in the hand when you're doing a variety of different types of cuts and carving. And we'll see what it's good at and what it's not good at based upon the different notches that I cut into it. So we're going to time lapse this because this will take a minute, but I'll let you know afterwards how it goes. The tri-stick, as you saw in that little time lapse, took us a couple minutes, but we got it done. Basically, we just did 3 parts of a tri-stick that generally I think encompasses a knife's abilities pretty well without taking too much time. So first we did a spear point, which did good on that, no problems. I generally think that if a knife can't do a spear point, then it's just a terrible knife all around. So it did that good. Then we did a saddle notch, which it did very well on that. You're basically just cutting through hot butter with this thing because of the geometry. And then what we did have here was a flat and a dowel. But the problem arose, well, first, besides the problem, did great. It made, just like the saddle notch, it did the flat perfectly well, cut it out very easily. And then I was doing the other side and making the dowel hole, and it just sliced so well through it, just made it too thin and cut through the entire piece of wood. So I'd say that's a plus on the knife's part, a negative on mine just because I didn't control it enough to make a good dowel hole and flat. But I mean, it slices very well. It's very comfortable in the hand. You're not gonna have any hot spots in the handle. It's very ergonomic just because of how it fits in the hand with the shape of the handle, and its thickness and grip really fills your hand out. I'd say the only hot spot that you're really gonna find on this knife if you're carving or you're using your second hand to guide the knife is you're just gonna find problems with the divot for the ferro rod. That's gonna kind of dig into your finger a little bit with its sharp corners, and then the actual edges of the spine of the knife are sharp, which are good for striking a ferro rod, but bad for carving. Because when you're digging in there, you're gonna be pressing your thumb in there and it's not gonna be very comfortable. But overall, that was a pretty good experience making those notches. So we're gonna move on to the conclusion. I'm gonna give my final thoughts and opinions, and we should be done with the video for the day. So we've just gone through everything that I wanted to do to test out the Lord & Field's Frontiersman. Overall, I like this knife. I like it a lot. I think the actual knife portion of it is very well designed. You're looking at something that's hefty, that's durable and strong, and it's also extremely comfortable and extremely slicey. How it's been done, you're looking at something that can take a beating with batoning, you know, dropping it a couple times, you know, just general hard use, and you're still gonna have that wicked sharp edge and that good geometry that can slice through material like butter. It's a very good balance, and it's a hard balance to get, but Lord & Field's did it. And I really like that about the knife. You're also looking at a knife that is very multi-purpose in the fact that it's a survival and outdoors knife. You're looking at something that comes with a ferro rod striking notch. You're looking at something that comes with a very high quality sheath, which you can carry scout carry. The negative to this though comes in the placement of the Allen wrench used to access the materials in the scales, because as we discussed earlier, you use it and the Allen wrench is in there, you could possibly break the knife scales or lose the Allen wrench. In this case, both of those happened to me, and I wasn't very pleased with that. So that little extra feature is a good and bad thing. What I would advise doing that I didn't do is take out the Allen wrench and put it in something else. Maybe put it in your wallet or put it in your little personal survival kit or something like that that's with you when you're using the knife, so it won't break your knife scales and you won't lose it, and you'll still have access to it when you need the stuff inside of the knife. But my final opinions, it's a very good knife. It's built very well. It's done nicely. The steel's good. The grind's good. It's built durably. The fit and finish is very nice. You're not seeing any, you know, raised edges or anything like that that are going to be uncomfortable with dig into your hand when you're using it. Overall, it's just a very good knife. It's beautiful, it's functional, and I highly recommend it. You can find these on Amazon for about $115 shipped, $115, which is a pretty good price for a bushcraft knife like this. I hope you enjoyed that quick little review and test of the Lord & Field's Frontiersman, a knife that I definitely recommend as long as you take the proper precautions with the added feature that it has. So thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and if you want to say something, comment down below, and I'll be sure to get back to you.